Hey, everybody. Welcome back to KF&JF podcast, man. I tell you, today we have a very, very important guest on our show, and we're looking forward to the information that he's going to provide us. I think one of the things that we've learned over having these various podcast shows is that everybody comes with a unique, set of skills. And this skill that this gentleman have is out to enhance all of our lives, to give us all the opportunity to succeed, give us all the opportunity to be homeowners, or even have the opportunity to plan for that day that we want to be a part of that groundiness in the Black legacy. So I'm really, really excited to have him come on the show today. I'm really excited to hear a lot of the information that he has to offer us. But right now, I want to make sure that you guys also know a little bit about KF&JF podcast. KF&JF podcast is an important part of uplifting the community. Our job is to try to bring people together, to try to, foster some understanding with business ownership, business collaboration, and try to build a way forward for us all to work together. We all can sit at the table and eat. So let's just try to work together and build this legacy back for the Black community. And that, I'm going to pass it on to my co-host, Razak.
Hello, I am Razak. I am the CEO and founder of United Minority Business Ventures. My company assists in the creation and maintenance of your business by forming opportunities to communicate and collaborate with your followers, subscribers, and other business owners. We use a wide range of networking tools and methods to achieve results. We assist in the ideas associated with social media marketing, building your marketing profile, creating your marketing strategy, or building your financial profile for your business. We also assist in branding your product or merchandise. We may also determine what licenses are needed to operate your business, owning your domain or buying into pre existing sites that host your page. We can also assist you with managing your website by selecting posts that create subscriptions, comments, and likes. We may also generate comments on other individual businesses, sites, or page to create a dialogue of conversation that's directed towards your page. And Mr. Jackson, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm looking forward to this discussion today.
Same here, same here. Okay. Well, I'm
Like I
Ed
said
Jackson.
before, I'm just going to take a minute, Mr. Jackson, and just take another pass at your you being here and the experience that you're bringing to the table. So I really want people to pay attention. So I'm going to drive this home to them. And that
Okay.
is that home ownership is a big deal. And it's a big deal here in the community. So I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Jackson here, and have him explain to us everything that needs to go along with that. Introduce yourself, sir.
Well, I'm Ed Jackson, broker owner of the Jackson Real Estate Group, where our thing we love to do is create generational wealth through home ownership. I've been in the real estate industry now for 20 years. Actually, June 10th of 2024 will actually be my full 20 years in real estate. I've gotten lucky enough where I have not done anything else over the last 20 years besides sell residential real estate. Met my wife and our grew our family through residential real estate. So I have a ton of knowledge to share with you guys on residential real estate.
Okay. Okay. Looking forward
Well,
to
that's
this.
great. We're looking forward to hearing it. So, one of the things that I like to ask you is, what got you into this business? What was one of the things that helped you to, figure out, oh, this is the line of business I want to go into?
Actually, it was totally by accident. At the time, probably about 23 years ago, I lived in Inglewood and I was working construction, had been working construction for 3 years. And one day I was just walking through the Lakewood Mall and someone asked me, have I ever thought about a career in real estate? And it was like, well, yeah, I could do that. And they had a meeting at the office I wanted to work at. I ended up working at that same day. And the broker there, he went through his whole spiel on why you should sell real estate and why you should work out that office and get your real estate license through that office. And one of the things that stuck out at the time, I was 32 years old. I had worked 7 years for Hines and 3 years doing construction. And he was like, okay, well, it was $100, maybe $150 for the course. And at the time, I didn't have the $150 to pay for the course. And he was like, well, you might want to rethink your career choices if you've been working for these companies all this time and don't have $150 to pay for the course. So at that time, it was on a Wednesday evening. I wrote a check because I knew I was going to get paid on Friday. And since it was Wednesday evening, I was like, okay, I doubt if it goes through before Friday. And I wrote a check, not even having the funds to cover it at the time I wrote it, but to start, and that started my career in real estate.
Okay.
Hey, that's one of the biggest keys to entrepreneurship. And I'm going to tell you that's something that I've kind of done myself, but you have to take risks, right?
Correct.
The big thing about trying to go in and on your own and trying to follow your dream, if that check would have bounced, don't mean your class would have been cut. It just means that you
would have put it through a couple times.
You'd have a little bit more opportunity to say, okay, well, I'll
Right.
get that to you, but I'm still in class. That's all that
Right.
matters, that I'm in class. So I think that's one of those lessons that, not everybody wants to do if they don't have no money, but I think that you got to take that chance, man. You got to go out there and do what's necessary. So tell me a little bit about the some of the trends and some of the particulars about in your industry that's changing right now that you could talk about.
Well, okay, a lot of the trends, one of the things that you hear when paying attention to the news, we have a lot of clients that pay attention to the news. And what they have to realize is that the news is talking about nationally. When I got into the business, one of the things I did realize is that I'm in Southern California. And Southern California is own microcosmic area of real estate. One of the things that you hear about in other areas is buying seasons. And when you think about it, winter is not a buying season in Chicago because no one wants to be outside. And here I am in Southern California where our buying season is all year long. So we don't really have the ups and downs that we have in other areas. So when talking about real estate and listening to real estate, especially from what you're hearing on the news and everything, you have to realize that's on a national level versus a small cosmic area, small cosmo area, where like Southern California, a microcosmic area like Southern California. One of the big things right now that you're hearing about on the news is the National Association of Realtors just settled with the Department of Justice or offered a settlement with the Department of Justice to where it might be a little bit more difficult for first-time home buyers to purchase a home, especially first-time home buyers with no money. That's one of the biggest things that's going on now.
Well, that's one of the things that's important for people to really understand. And you made that point, is that you can't believe everything you see and hear on the TV. It's not really always fitted for your place of where you live or what's going on in your community. It's just a bunch of stuff that everybody's just throwing into the pot and making it seem like the whole world and everywhere you walk out, you go, it's like that. And that's not really the truth. So in thinking about that, I think about this question about what is unique about you? What is something that nobody really knows about you, Ed?
Well, a little personal background is I grew up single mom, Nickerson Gardens. If anybody is familiar with the LA area, the Southern California area, I grew up with a single mom, projects, never joined a gang or anything. So people tend to find that, well, wait a minute, how did you do this? And how did you get to this level without having that kind of issues? And one of the things I said is that I was way more afraid of my mother than I was of anybody else out there. So that kind of kept me on a straight and narrow. So that's one thing that a lot of people, when they meet me, they don't realize my background is that, yeah, I grew up single family where the welfare, single mom, where the welfare lady came knocking on the door. You couldn't have too much stuff and had to wait in line for food stamps and everything. And I just was able to take that and translate it into my real estate career because I'm able to relate to the underserved community. I don't even want to say the minority community, but the underserved community, where we tend to think that you have to have perfect credit, 800, 700 FICO scores to purchase a home, where we think that you have to have large down payments or tons of money to purchase a home. Just some of the misconceptions out there. So where I find I'm an asset at is that I understand our community and how our community thinks from being part of the community.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Razak.
Yeah, I was just listening to you over there in from Inglewood, niggas Gardens over there, huh?
Man,
I'm familiar with the LA
Ferguson
area,
Gardens.
you know. I've been around there. Well,
Okay.
I just had a question about misconceptions, but you
Uh-huh.
just answered it right there. And because I know a lot of people have the misconceptions about the real estate going, the game, the market, you know. So with that though, can you explain the process of buying or selling a home for someone who may be unfamiliar with it?
Yeah. One of the things that where I find that it's a lot of people are scared to find out, or they try to go ahead and find out about purchasing a real estate before, and they were turned down or was told they didn't have enough money or their credit wasn't good enough. The first thing to do is sit down with a reputable agent, hopefully me, and that will guide you through the process. The process is really simple. One of the things I tell my clients is that it's never no with us. It might not be right now, but we are going to show you the steps and show you exactly what needs to be done to where you can purchase in the future, rather it's 3 days, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years from now. One of the things that I pride myself on doing is walking you through the process to get you to where you need to be. One of the misconceptions that people have think is amongst credit. Oh, you have to have a high FICO score. One of the Usually, if your credit score is good enough to purchase, not good enough to purchase, if your credit score is good enough to rent, then usually your credit score is good enough to purchase. There's a first time home buyers program called FHA. FHA allows you to purchase with a FICO score as little as 500, where most personal rentals and everything, unless you're going into a big rental complex. But if you're trying to rent a home, rent a condo, rent a townhome, they usually want you to have a FICO score much higher than 500. They usually want you to have be able to make 3 to 4 times the amount of the rent. Where when purchasing a home, all that is really thrown out the window because you're have to qualify with what the government says. And from what I've seen, the government is usually a lot more lenient than what the individual person would be like. And so that's one of the major misconceptions is that you have to have a high credit score. No, you can purchase with as little as $500, a 500 FICO score with a lower down payment. 500, you need 10%, but you can go with a 560, you can purchase with 3.5% down.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes,
okay. Well,
yes, yes.
yeah. With that, with that being said, so what are some of the strategies for a successful, property management? But how would you go about that?
Well, one of the things that we do, we actually have you come into the office. A lot of times people don't want, they like, oh, I'm going to send you straight to our lender. and the lender just has no connection with you. So they don't really, they just look at the credit score and just leave it alone at that. With us, we have you come into the office, we go over your wants and your needs. A lot of times people feel like, oh, I don't want to buy a condo because condos are like too much like an apartment. Well, and we try to educate them on one of the reasons why you might be able to have to buy a condo or need to buy a condo to take you to the next level. One of the things I find quite often is you'll hear, I don't want to buy a condo because it's too much like an apartment. And when I ask, okay, so if you don't purchase a home, what are you going to do? They say, well, I'm going to stay in my apartment. And I have to take them back to a story where my mother told me where I had that same ideology or whatever it is. I had that same thinking, and my mother told me was like, "Well, look, it's much better to own your own one bedroom, one bathroom in the ghetto than be paying rent for somebody else's." And of course, at the time, I didn't listen because it was like, "Okay, well, mom, you're gonna go back to your 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house. What does it look like? I'm Ed Jackson. I can't be living in a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom in the ghetto. I can't buy that." But I stayed in that same apartment for 1 year. So one of the things that we do is help people realize that their options have consequences, and their what they choose to do have consequences, and help them walk them through the steps of like, yeah, this, you might stay here now for another 3 years, and then you take the proceeds from there and trade up, and you can purchase something more to your liking than you would if you didn't purchase anything.
Right. So it sounds like to me like
Yeah.
when buying a home, I haven't been a homeowner. I had apartments myself, and so it's more about an investment that that
Correct.
you that you make when buying a home. So you're investing in your property, you're investing in the structure, or how it's built and all that type of stuff. So how do economic factors such as interest rates and inflation impact the real estate market?
Okay, that's a great question because one of the things that you hear quite a bit, because interest rates are a little bit higher than they were over the last 3 years. Last 3 years, about 3 years ago, interest rates were, money was free. Interest rates were like in the threes, twos and threes. Right now, interest rates are about seven. So one of the things that I always get asked is, when is the best time to buy a home? And the best time to buy a home is really when you can. And the reason I say that is because we have no control over interest rates. We have no control over home prices. And so one of the things that happens is as interest rates go lower, more people jump into the home buying process, jump into the market, which makes prices go up. So one of the things that you always hear is that, oh, I'm going to wait till interest rates go down, or I'm going to wait till prices go down versus interest rates. I'm going to wait till prices go down. But the only reason that prices go down is because interest rates go higher. So you actually end up paying more with the higher interest rate than you do if you bought at the higher price. Kind of counterintuitive.
Right, right. I'm listening to you. I wanna, we're gonna dig into your brain on this, by the way.
It
So,
sounds
you
good.
know, so okay, I want this interview to go as like we're having a session, and the subscribers and listeners too. So as a first time home buyer or investor in the real estate market, either or, what advice would you have for this being my first time?
First, don't be scared. Sit down with a realtor, a real estate agent that's going to walk you through the process. Not one that says, oh, "Okay, well, how much do you make and everything?" No, sit down with someone like me that and go through a full consultation. During that consultation, we're going to find out what your wants and your needs are. we're going to go ahead and get you look at your credit. Everything starts with your credit. So we're going to look at your credit. If your credit isn't where it needs to be, one of the things we're going to do is show you exactly what needs to be done. A lot of times people tend to think that they have to have everything on their credit paid off, and they start thinking, well, I'm going to pay off everything on my credit, which actually may cause more harm than good. So when you sit down with a professional, we're going to walk you through and actually show you exactly what you need to do. Our next step is we're going to see if there's any down payment assistance programs out there that you would qualify for. A lot of people love to keep money in their pockets. So if I can get you into a property, $500,000 property with as little as $2,500 out of pocket, that makes it way more affordable for you. So when you sit down with a real estate professional, they look at the whole picture, not just one aspect of it. We're going to walk you through and hold your hand through each step of the process, from finding the home, getting qualified, to finding the home, going through the loan, going through the inspections. Because when you're purchasing a home, you want to know what's going on with the home. So you get an inspector. We have inspectors on roster where we call and find out what's wrong with the home. Because there's always something wrong with the home. Even if you purchase a brand new home, there is something wrong with it. There's usually something that's off. And our job is to know what those things are. And so we can help you make informed decisions. So that's what we do from A to Z in real estate here at the Jackson Real Estate Group.
One of the things I like to know, if you can tell me, is
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the success stories out there that you've ran across in this business of, sometimes when you're thinking about families that come into your office, you can tell right away sometimes, if they're in the position or they're not in the position. But then sometimes those ones that are not necessarily in the position, you find a way to put them in the position to purchase, or put them in a better position to succeed. And that is such a, I would think, a joyous thing to accomplish, to help someone get into something they never had any idea that they would get into. So talk about those stories and how they really affect you as well.
Okay, I'm gonna tell a story, and this is a real good one. And I'm not gonna use the person's name because I can use her name. So I had a friend that I've known for years and everything, and they lived right off of Van Ness and Century in the LA Inglewood area. And they lived at home with their mom. And we have started looking for them a home. This was a few years back. We started looking for her a home. And she was looking and she was looking and she was looking. And she wanted a 2 to 3 bedroom house because it was just her. And she wanted a 2 to 3 bedroom house in the same area where her mom lived. Same kind of thought I had when before I got into real estate. And we were looking, and she just did not qualify for anything in the area that she wanted to live in a single family home. And eventually she was just like, look, Ed, if I can't find something soon and I'm not moving out to Moreno Valley, I'm just going to go rent me an apartment someplace. And it was like, okay, well, look, if you're going to go rent, you might as well go ahead and buy you this townhome. She was like, well, I don't want a townhome and this and that. And we went back and forth, and we went back and forth for about a week into this. And I like, look, it just does not make sense for you. So when we sat there and we went over the numbers for her, we were like, okay, look, if you're going to rent a home, you need first, last, security, and with all that, which came to about at the time $7,000. And it was like, okay, so if we take that, instead of you taking that $7,000 here, we were able to get you into this townhome at $10,000, but your payment is going to be $300 a month less than your rent. Would that work? And we literally found her a townhome right off of Market and Regent. It's a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom townhome where we were able to get her in for $10,000 instead of the $7,000 that she was going to get in for the rental act. But her payment was $200 a month cheaper. And you can pick her up and call her today, and she'll tell you that was the best move that she's ever made. Because not only now, she has about $600,000 in equity in that property from when she bought it. Right now, her payment has not gone up like rent usually goes up every month. Her payment has stayed the same, not every month. Rent goes up usually every year, but her payment has stayed the same. Her income has grown. So now she's actually looking at renting that property out and purchasing another property in her ideal area now, and having the rent from that property pay for her the majority of her mortgage on her new property as well as the mortgage on the old property. And so now she's creating generational wealth for her family.
Wow, that is awesome there. That's awesome. What do you think, Razak?
You're
You're
on
on
mute.
mute, Razak.
I'm thinking that I'm looking at, it's almost like, I know it's an investment, and I know those areas you was talking about too. It's almost like, when you're going about looking into your property, you have to think about the longevity of it, in the area, and how is the area is developing. Is do you have to like keep, how should I say, do you have to research the areas, like how would you stay informed about the local market conditions and stay ahead in a competitive real estate landscape?
Well, one of the things I do, I'm in the office. I'm in paying attention to what's going on daily. Not only am I a broker owner, I run the office. I have 35 agents, but I'm still out in the trenches selling properties myself also. So I'm not just one of the broker owners that sit back and just collecting checks now. No, I'm out there daily looking and finding deals for my clients. So I'm staying abreast of what's going on in the market. When purchasing for an investment versus purchasing for something that you're going to live in is two totally different markets. If you're looking for something as an investment, you're looking at it as a more of a return. If you're looking for something that you're going to live in, what I found is if you stay in a property, no matter where you buy at, and you stay in that property over 10 years, it is way more, it's worth way more than what you paid for it. We're in Southern California. Property values have consistently gone up. The only time in my 20 years, seen when property values went down, that was in 2008, 2009, and that was because of an artificial drop in property prices. They call it the market crash when everybody had liar loans and everything. But properties really, even when you look at that time, properties dropped what, 10 to 15%. So a home that was selling for 200,000 dropped 20,000, 25,000 in value. So it was selling at 180, 175. So in Southern California, we do not have major drops like that where I'm going to get a property for 50% off. So it really depends on what you're looking for. I have another client that we're actually in escrow right now. They bought their first home, I would say, for about 4 years ago. And he qualified for way more than what he purchased for. And he purchased in Harbor City, and he just the other day, because he's purchasing income property now. Just the other day, he was like, "Man, Ed, I wish that I would have spent more money on what I wanted at that time, but I was just fearful." He was like, I was fearful. I think at the time he qualified for around 650,000, and he ended up buying a condo for about 350,000. So now he's like, okay, I want to move out of the condo, but pricing for a single family for what he wants and where he wants, and he does not want to sell the condo, is a little bit out of his reach right now. Is a little bit out of his reach right now. So what he did was like, okay, I'm going to buy income property versus buying another single family home. He's buying income property. So we're actually in escrow on income property for him now, which makes financial sense since he's not going to live there. All we had to do is make it make sense on paper where he's generating income now versus what he would get with his money just sitting in the bank.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this. Nowadays, how should I word this? So nowadays you have like smart houses and stuff like that, or you have like this house is like you got insulated like windows and stuff like that.
Correct.
Um, how let me see. What role does technology play in modern real estate, the transactions and or the industry?
When you're looking at first time home buyers or the novice buyer, it does not play really that much at all. Unless you have a tech person or usually a person that's trading up, buying multi-million dollar homes. For the layman, that kind of stuff, it doesn't matter at all. The insulated windows, that's more of the city starts to give you tax breaks with that. So if you want to upgrade your windows and everything, that's more of where the city comes in. But to the first time home buyer, the lay person that's really just starting off, that kind of stuff does not come into play at all.
Okay. 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 I got one more question. I'm going to pass it back to Keith. Can you discuss any challenges or obstacles you faced in your real estate career and how you overcame them?
Okay. So one of the biggest, and I would say the biggest obstacle you have to face. Well, me personally, I got two things. Well, me personally, the biggest thing that I had to face with getting my real estate and starting my real estate career is that I used to be very introverted. And when I say very introverted, I used to have panic attacks when meeting new people. And so I still remember the day I remember calling my mother. It was like, hey, mom, you know what? I'm going to get into real estate. And her exact words were, you know, you have to talk to people to sell real estate. And that was, for me, that was probably my biggest challenge, getting over the fear of talking to people. And so to do that, I literally, when I started my 2 week training in the office that I wanted to work in, I literally used to just get up in front of the class before anybody came in and just start talking. And they would just come in and they'd be like, what are you doing? And like, I'm getting over my fear of speaking in front of people or speaking to people. So that was one of my personal biggest challenges with getting into the business of selling real estate. As a broker owner, what I found as is the biggest challenge is real estate agents, we do not have a boss. Everybody is an independent contractor, which means you can come and go and do what you want to do. I tell everybody the best thing about real estate is that you can make unlimited amounts of money. I mean, you sell a house nowadays, you sell a house, you're probably making anywhere from 10, 15, $20,000 per sale when you sell a home in real estate. You don't have any boss looking over you, so you can make unlimited amounts of money. You don't have anybody telling you you need to clock in and be here at this time. You can do what you want to when you want to. I remember one time we went down to Crustaceans in Beverly Hills for a 4 hour lunch. Office was in Long Beach. We took a 4 hour lunch down at Crustaceans in Beverly Hills. You really have the freedom to do whatever you want. Though that's a great positive in real estate. One of the negatives about selling real estate and being in the real estate business is that you have the ability to do whatever you want. That means if you're taking a 4-hour lunch, there's nobody there to tell you, hey, you need to be at work, you need to be prospecting, you need to be finding clients. You don't need to be taking a 4-hour lunch. There's nobody there to force you to sit there and prospect and look for business. There, you have to create, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to create artificial reasons to do this. You have to create your own reasons to get up and get out, to talk to people, to network, to find people who want to buy, to educate yourself on the market. So when somebody does have a question, you're able to answer it. So that's probably the biggest hurdles I find with real estate agents. You don't get a check unless you sell something, and you have to be consistently working to find somebody who wants to buy and sell, who can buy and sell, that wants to buy and sell through you, that you want to work with. And that's one of the biggest hurdles that I find when people come into real estate, that they do not have the consistency to just not do nothing when they don't have to do anything.
Right. Right.
Well, that's kind of the same basis for everything you do as an entrepreneur, right? If you
Correct. 100.
don't put effort, if you don't put effort into what you want your business to be, or what you think the goals are for success, and you're just sitting there taking a lunch break all day, or you're just sitting there watching the tube, thinking that the money's just gonna come through the door, or the check is just gonna drop into the mailbox, or your commission is just gonna gradually go up because you got a business or you got a name. It
Right.
don't work that way. And in that
It's
same
not at
process,
all.
I see, with everybody, a lot of people we've interviewed, and everybody that so far in this uplifting of the small Black business, it's the dedication that you put into it. It's the work that you put into it what makes it work. It's not working any other way at all.
None.
So I'm thinking about this, and I try to I like to ask you about some of the ethical responsibilities that comes with the job. There are things that you are responsible for because, one, you're taking in information, you're taking in people's stories and income status and social security number, all this information. Tell me
Correct.
some of the things that you run across that is that makes that a serious and important part of being secure.
One of the biggest things is, as you touched on, we do have an ethical and fiduciary business duty to treat everyone fairly as a realtor. So I cannot put my needs above the client's needs. As you just stated, I do have access. I've had access to your credit. I've had access, and I know what your needs are. When negotiating, I had to keep your needs above mine. Where it might be some agents that look at, okay, well, I need to get this done because I need to get a check. Mine's is more, and that's one of the reasons I've been able to stay in this business as long as I have, is I put my clients' needs first. We'll be out on showings and everything, and you'll see where I'll notice in the ceiling there's a brown spot, and the buyer doesn't notice. If I'm going to call out that brown spot, if that's something that my house that my client is considering, I'm like, okay, looks like it's a brown spot up there. Don't know what the brown spot is. So if you're looking at purchasing this home, one of the things we're going to have to make sure is that the inspector gets up in the attic and let us know, is this a current leak? Has this leak been patched? Because that's what the brown spot tends to come from, unless somebody dropped a soda and it's shot up on the wall. So those are the things as ethical that we look out for. I'm not going to want to put you in a bad situation where you're not going to be happy, or you're going to start looking at, oh, well, Ed Jackson sold me this house, or the Jackson Real Estate sold me this, Jackson Real Estate Group sold me this house, and I'm totally unhappy. The majority of my clients are repeat clients and referrals. So I make sure I do a great enough job where you're happy with my work. And when somebody say, hey, I'm looking at purchasing a home, or I've been thinking about purchasing a home, I have hundreds of people now that say, hey, you need to call Ed Jackson. And so that's one of the things I pride myself on, is making sure that my clients are okay and that they are happy with their purchase. And if we see something that I think is not right, I'm one of the people that say, you know what, we just walked into this house. I don't think this is the right fit. Or did you notice this as we were going through the neighborhood? I don't think your child might be safe in this neighborhood. And so, but I'm telling you so you can make an informed decision, not just because you wanted to really see the house and you think it's great. And if you buy it, I'm going to get a check.
Right.
Well, that leads right into my next question then, because I think that that's something that you're responsible for, you know, and there's a lot of realtors out there, even though I know that when we went through the process, and I know other people that have, you know, what are some of the red flags that consumers should be looking for, not only in what the, you know, the government is issuing, or false people that are out there issuing, but the red flags they should be looking at in you as a real estate,
as an agent,
you know, as an agent.
Well, and as an agent, one of the things I tell everybody to look for, an agent that's knowledgeable in the area that you're looking for. As I stated earlier, an agent that's knowledgeable in the different financing situations. A lot of people use down payment assistance programs, but a down payment assistance program might not be the best thing for everyone. So you have to have an agent that's willing to go through those things and know those things. And that's why I say have a consultation. That way the agent knows what you're looking for and able to guide you in the right direction. There's some people don't want to work with part-time agents. There are a lot of great part-time agents that's out there. What else is there? Red flags. So don't just throw away an agent because you feel like they're part-time. A lot of times you have agents that are part-time but work with a team or with a group where they have support that's part-time. Another thing just to be looked out for, somebody that you feel like is putting their interest before yours. When it comes down to it, this is a decision that you're going to make for you and your family. And you will have agents that will try to steer you in a particular way because they'll get paid more. You will have agents that don't really understand the market and have not sat down with you and don't really understand your needs. Um, One of the things I refuse to do with clients is you'll get agents out here that just email you property, and they're like, oh well, I'm just going to email you property, or they set you up on an automatic email drip and tell you if you find anything that you like, if you see anything that you like, let them know. Well, one of the things with me is like, if I'm not going to send you properties because I provide a service, and my service is to know what your needs are, know what you can qualify for, know what areas you're looking for, and get a good idea of what you're looking for. So from there, after we sit down and we have our consultation, I take you out on a showing. I'm not going to just send you property because I tell my clients this: if you just want to see property, you can Google properties in that whatever area that you're looking for. But if you want a great deal at a great price, what we're going to do is we're going to go out, we're going to view the property, we're going to see the property, we're going to discuss the property. Everybody here has gone on Zillow, Google, Realtor.com, looked at properties and didn't like the property for whatever reason. So if I'm representing you and I'm just sending you property, I have no idea why you don't like the property. Because if I'm just sending you property, you say, okay, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Moreno Valley at 500,000. That means if that's all I know about you, that means any properties that's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, that's 500,000 or less, you should be writing on. But with us, we take you out, we go there, we have to know what you're looking for. That way we can represent you in the best light. We can represent you on what you need. Where you feel like you needed a home that was 1,500 square feet, you get out there, you're seeing properties that's 1,500 square feet, and you was like, you know what? I could do a 1,400 if it was set up like this. You would never know that if by just sending people properties. So that I think that's one of the biggest disadvantage for a consumer these days working with a real estate agent. An agent that's want to take the shortcut and just send you property instead of getting to sit down with you, knowing, going out, able to discuss what the property is, able to see and discuss what the property is. An agent just really, at this time, really want to take shortcuts and say, hey, well, just go, and if you see anything, let me know, because they don't want to get out and do the work. That's a big red flag.
Well, that's kind of like what we're talking about, being real and authentic and honest about what you're doing. I think those are the things that help us to make better decisions out there. Because I was just thinking, my niece, she lives in Texas and she has she's 30 something years old with a 6-bedroom house. And I'm thinking, well, man, I never had that, but things are different now. So one of the questions that, I have because of that, we're here in California. A lot of,
Correct.
Blacks have been moving out. They've been moving to Texas. They've been moving back east to make their money work for them a little bit more. How do you try to convince them when they're talking about, oh, I have to get a house in Texas for half the price? Do you help them in that way, or say, okay, that's a good idea, maybe you should do that? How do you balance that instead of trying to keep them here to help you out?
No, okay. So I hear that so often. I can move to Texas. I can move here. I can move to Vegas. And I'm gonna be honest with you. My question is, when are you going to do that? In my 20 years of selling real estate, I've only had one client that was like, you know what, Ed? We can get something better. We're getting outbidded on everything. We can get something better. We can go we can find us a much better house if we move to Texas. And they moved to Texas. The majority of people that says, oh, I can get this in Texas. Okay, great. Yes, you can. When are you moving to Texas? When are you moving to Las Vegas? When are you moving to Georgia? Oh, it'd be 5 years from now. Okay, so in 5 years, wouldn't it make much better sense for you to take, if you can purchase for about what you're paying your rent now, go ahead and purchase now, and in 5 years, either rent it out, which I say everybody should rent out to start creating generational wealth. But if you can't rent it out and you need the money to go to sell and take the proceeds from this house that you just sold that has definitely increased in value, to take that and go to Texas and buy cash or buy without a mortgage or however you want to do it. My mother, when she left California to Georgia, she sold her property in Long Beach and took the proceeds from her property, and she bought 3 properties in Atlanta. So she bought her house and she bought 2 income properties. So of course she doesn't work because she's getting the income from the properties that she bought with cash from the properties she sold here. So like I said, literally in my whole career, most people, I've only seen one person that actually was like, hey, I can move here, and actually did. Most of the time, that's a defense mechanism. It's a defense mechanism. Them saying, well, yeah, I can, but yes, you can if you're realistically going to do it. If you're realistically going to do it, I think it's great. I think you should own a home to start creating generational wealth, whether it's bought through me, bought through my agent next door, whether it's bought in California or whether it's bought someplace else. If this is what you're really going to do, by all means, go ahead and do it. And yes, you can buy a house 3 times the size of what you can get here in Texas, but you also get Texas along with it. Like I said, Southern California, the microclimate, everything. Because I'm sure
Well, you know
you
what?
both
In Texas,
you both
no,
have
getting
known
Texas, that was
people,
crazy.
yeah, and you both known people who said, "Oh, I'm going to move to Texas." How many of them are actually in Texas? Very few.
Oh, no. You
What
know
do you
what?
say, Razak?
Yeah. Hey, that's crazy. You know, I'm listening to you though. You know what I mean? I'm just I'm paying attention, and it's like I was kind of thinking of this. I was like, okay, Ed Jackson, the Jackson Real Estate Group. What I wrote down, this is that they care about you and the foundation of your legacy. Giving you just like a little pitch right there. And I'm thinking like, for previous homeowners or people who's looking to buy or whatnot, you know, what are um, what are common scams or fraudulent schemes that consumers should be aware of in the real estate transaction of getting these houses?
Okay, one of the things that's out there that's going on, that's I don't like, that's taken advantage of now, is a couple of things. One, wholesalers. Wholesaling, and what wholesaling is, and you will find videos on wholesaling and YouTube and everything all over the place. You have to be aware of wholesalers, because what happens is, what a wholesaler does is they say, "Hey, we'll come and buy your house," and it's usually a house that's not on the market, but they'll say, "Okay, we'll come and buy your house, let's say for 300,000. Oh, we can close in 10 days. We'll be able to sell your house, buy your house for 300,000. You're able to get the cash." What they'll do is, a wholesaler, what they do is they'll get you under contract to buy your house for 300,000, then try to put it on the market, or try to find another investor to buy it at 500,000, 600,000. And then they sell the contract, and they get the difference between the 300 and the 600. So they'll basically make 600,000 by wholesaling your property. That's a huge one that I tell my clients to look out for, because if you can get 600,000, I would rather see you get the 600,000 than for you to wholesale it and end up with 300,000, when technically you should have be able to get 550, 600 for it. That's one big scam. And then here, one of the other ones that's going on, and they're trying to put a stop to, is two other ones. Is one, when you find out that you're in need of money. There is companies out there that will loan you small amounts of money. I knew this one lady who they were able to get a loan for, they gave $800. It was basically $800. But what they did is they gave you the $800, and then they had you sign a 40-year listing agreement saying that, hey, if you sold your house with any time within the 40 years, or if your heirs sold their house, if you were, and that attacking elderly, if your heirs sell the house and you get we have to sell the house, and we get 6%, and you have to pay the other agent 3%. So they do a 40-year listing contract with you at 9%, and you only got $800. And if your heirs sell the house, if you pass and your heirs sell the house, it's on a lien on the house, where you have to use this real estate company, and that's how. But they gave you $800, and it's crazy. And I've seen the amount that they give as low as $300, and they got a 40-year listing agreement on your property, where you can't sell it without you. If you sell it, you have to use them, and if you use them without selling it, you still owe them the money. So that's one of the other ones. And then Another one that's going on now, you'll see a lot of TikTok and YouTube videos, is what they call a HELOC alternative, where you get if your home has equity in it, they will do a HELOC alternative loan. I forgot the name of it, but where they will give you up to 3 years, 3 to 5 years to sell your property or to refinance. But they take, if they give you 10,000, they get the 10,000 plus 20% of any of the equity that your property has gained. Those are the three major ones that I see that's out there now that consumers should be aware of. If somebody's saying, "Oh, we don't care about your credit," and to get a HELOC or something like that, it's a HELOC alternative. Just know that's a shared equity, and in certain cases it's okay, but in most cases, like I said, they're not giving you a percentage, the same percentage that they loaned you. So, like, say for instance, if they're going to loan you 20% and they want 20% of the equity in 5 years, that's something different. If they're going to loan you like a set amount and they want 20 to 30% of the equity in 5 years, or in some cases even 50% of the equity in 5 years, that's not a great deal.
Right. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, man, you was throwing a lot of numbers out there, man. You know, and I
I'm
wasn't good at
sorry.
math like that, but you know.
No, I'm sorry. Well, and when I say 20 to 30% of equity, just think if you have $100 and they give you $2, but next year they want you to give them $25 back.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let me well, okay, well, see, look at all right, so with that you just said, I got this question at the okay, how can consumers protect themselves from falling victim to somebody who's dishonest, who's a dishonest agent, and in protecting themselves, like I know you gave us some warning signs, but how can they protect themselves, and what resources do they have to like how would you say, hey, I feel like this guy is scamming me or something? Who do you go to? You know what I mean? Who what resources are there to say, hey, this guy is treating me unfairly?
First off, ask questions. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. What I found that a lot of these things, a lot of these people try to do is to get you to sign immediately. And they try to high pressure you into, oh, it won't, if you don't sign immediately, I can't do this. So if somebody is telling you that, that you have not been working with for a while, then no, it's not going to work. It's usually a scam. Ask for copies of the paperwork before you sign them so you can go over them. Find another realtor that's at a different company or a different agency that to look over it for you. Most realtors will look over any paperwork for you without being a charge. If you feel like that somebody is trying to scam you, find a totally different realtor to go over and look over the paperwork for you. They're going to look over the paperwork for you because they're going to be like, well, if they have any ethics, they're going to be like, well, yeah, this is good. Go ahead and sign it or not. Or they're going to be like, this is a scam. And yeah, or they'll let you know what's going on. If they have any ethical part about them, they'll let you know what's going on. And worst case scenario, there is always community groups out there. You can Google real estate consultants or anything in whatever area you're looking for. Real estate laws. If you think it's a scam, Google what they're telling you and you'll find out if it's a scam or not. I mean, it is so much stuff there that's at your fingertips now that where you can find out almost anything. And if you're an older person or a person who really doesn't use technology like that, walk into your nearest real estate office and ask for help. Can somebody explain this paperwork to you? And most people will, with no issues at all.
Okay. Um, So it's perfectly normal to go into the real estate thing and talk to somebody and like I don't know, he might be upping the price or he might be doing something thing. So I'm going to take this and go to somebody totally different and ask them about the same property and try to compare who's being more truthful. And and
Well,
and, and with saying that, has there been a situation where you gained the advantage of that happening?
Well, when that's kind of different than looking out as for scams. From what you're describing is okay. I have this property I'm looking at selling, or I'm looking at purchasing. If you're looking at purchasing, you're already you should already be under contract with a real estate agent that's already taking you around and showing you the properties and everything. If you feel like they are overcharging or wanting you to write a price that's higher than one of the list price, one of the things that I see is where a lot of clients fall off at is they see, okay, this property is listed for 500,000. Okay, I want to offer 480. Well, you just saw 20 other people come out of this house. You want to, but you really like the house and you only want to offer 480. The odds of you getting that property is extremely slim. And with that, where you have most agents who will say, hey, if you really want this property, you might have to go 510, 520, if that's okay. And you in scenarios like that, it's not so much the buyer or the agent trying to get over on the seller or the buyer. It's really what's going on in the market. Once again, I said from the beginning of the show, I stated that we're in Southern California. We don't have buying periods. The last time I've seen prices go down was back in 2008. So at times, yeah, you have to offer a little bit more to get your offer accepted or put more money down to get your offer accepted than what states on the MLS or on the paperwork that says, oh, it's the property was listed for 500,000. When it boils down to it, it really becomes an auction, and it's really, are you willing to lose the property over $500? And sometimes you are, other times it's not, and you might have to go up in price to get the property you want. On the sale side, you will have people who will say your property is worth X amount of dollars when it's not, just so they can get the listing and hopefully talk you down later on when you're not getting any offers on it. So you will have an agent take an overpriced listing that say, for instance, the property is only worth about 500,000, and you have a seller that says, "I want it. I'll sell it if I can get 600,000 for it." And the area and the comps only show it's worth 500,000, and you'll have an agent that say, okay, I'll take it, and they'll get the listing and they'll put the sign up in the yard, not to sell your property, but to get calls from other people who are driving by and see the sign up and the thing. It's like, well, yeah, that property's overpriced, but I got one around the corner that might be more, that's priced more reasonable. And you will have agents do that. That's a common thing. That's more common than anything. People taking overpriced listings just to get the listing and then try to talk the seller down once it's not selling.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's one of those things where you really do have to do your homework about the agency, and then you not only have to do your homework about the agent that you're dealing with or the service that you're dealing with. You got to go around and do your walk yourself. You got to get out there on your own and do some legwork, going into these houses, looking at stuff that you see that's bad, and then when you see the agent and he ain't pointing it out to you, then you already know you got somebody that ain't working with you. One of the things
Correct.
that I know of and through my family and then with other people that I've known, can you talk a little bit about the quick deed? Why are people, when people are in trouble, the first thing that they, try to do is do a quick deed to get the money, get out of the debt or whatever it is. And then sometimes it's not worth it because you lose that wealth that you had, everything you put into it just to get out of there. Is there other ways to deal with a quick deed?
Right. Okay. One of the things I find that's prevalent in our community is that people, rather for all types of different reasons. One is because they're sick and they want to quick deed the home over, in debt, and I don't want the home in my name because I owe and I don't want them to come after me. So you'll do a quick deed over to the property. One of the things that does put you at a disadvantage, because once the deed is not in your name, a lot of times the loan, especially if it's a loan, the loan is still in your name, but then you have no say so in what goes on in the house. And unfortunately, you have a lot of people, especially older people, who like, okay, I want to put my um, daughter or son on the deed, and they do it as a quick deed, and then that causes tax implications, all kinds of different things. The best way to do that kind of stuff, and I tell all my clients this, is once you have a property, or even before you have a property, if you have any kind of assets, bank accounts, stock accounts, and everything, is to create a living trust. Get with a trust advisor, create a living trust, and you can do so much more through the living trust than, okay, I'm gonna quick deed this over to here, and that person does not always have the right intentions for you or what's going on, or and things might change and their intentions get changed. So a trust versus a quick deed, 100%. Rather you have property, bank account, or whatever, everybody should start a living trust. Everybody. I can't tell you how that cuts down on confusion. You can state your living trust to do whatever it is, and you have your executor. You, as long as you have the capacity, you can be your own executor of your living trust, and you can change your living trust whenever. You can say, hey, and with the property in the trust, it's not in your name anymore. It's in the trust. So then that kind of protects you from creditors also.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes. That is a very important part of that. And I'm happy that you talked about that because I've seen a lot of that go real bad, especially when you're talking about put it in your family's name and somebody else don't have the intentions that you do. And then the other part of that is realizing that that debt is still in your name. So the bank is still coming
Correct.
after you because you
Correct.
quick deeded it, over to somebody else. That just transfer the name and whatnot. It didn't transfer the loan. It didn't
No.
transfer that information. So when you, over the last few years, since 2020, have you found that COVID has affected a lot of people in making these quick deeds, or did the real estate market kind of boom from that? Because people have more money.
From what I've seen, the real estate market kind of boomed from COVID. We had a lot of transfer of wealth at that time. You had people who started doing remote work. Okay, I don't have to go in anymore. I can work remotely. So they were able to move further out and continue to keep their job because they only had to go in occasionally. Right now, I have clients that work in downtown LA and they're moving further out because they only have to go in once a week. And so that helped the real estate market extremely well, which kind of drove up prices in other areas like Moreno Valley. Moreno Valley used to be a hot spot for affordable homes. And when I say affordable homes, we used to be able to sell you homes in Moreno Valley area if you had two people working at McDonald's. You had two people working at McDonald's where your pay was what, $13, $14 an hour working at McDonald's. You have two people making that kind of money. We were able to find you homes in the Moreno Valley area based on the kind of income you brought in. Now you have to go, if you take those same two people, you have to, not that we can't find you a home, it might not be Moreno Valley, but we might be in Hemet, San Jacinto, Victorville, Adelanto now, to find you homes that where you would qualify for at that type of income. So, like I said, it's never know with us. We can find you a home at whatever you qualify for. Sometimes it's not just practical for you to move to those areas because of work. So with COVID, that did help a lot because you were able to move further away because you wasn't doing the commute anymore, maybe once a day, and you were able to get more property versus a smaller property where you can move further out.
Okay.
Well, I'm just so proud, man, right now that, the conversation has been going great. A lot of great information that we've had. So we're going to be right back with Mr. Jackson, the Jackson Real Estate Group. We'll be right back,
Thank
guys.
you.
Hey, everybody. We're back, man. We're back with Mr. Jackson here. Ed is just shooting all kinds of game out there regarding the real estate world and how we can protect ourselves and how we can stay ahead of the scams, and really trust the people that we're working with as far as when we're looking for the purchase of a home, because that's such a big, big investment in our lives. It takes a lot of energy to feel, safe and spending $400,000. I tell you that right now, just spending $10 is hard. You got to make sure you got all your wallet is tight for that. So I'm really happy about him coming on the show today. So let's just go right to it right now. What you think, Razak?
I want to ask, first I want to commend you. Like Keith was saying, is a big help is a big investment. I mean, the foundation that people make, me myself included. I always wanted to have my own house, my own little foundation where I could just sit at. But life has had a different journey for me where I wasn't just sitting down in one spot for a long period of time. But for the people who have been able to make their foundation and become stable, and the ones who want to and are looking for that, I'm pretty sure this would be helpful in this insight.
I
But
hope so.
we're gonna dig into another area right here. And you said you had about 20 years or so like that,
Correct.
doing, finding homes in these foundations and letting them build their futures. Was there a goal? Do you have like a wish list or a bucket list or something that you can identify with as a goal that you're setting by doing the business all this time?
Yeah, my personal goals is crazy. My daughter, she's 15. She just got her permit to drive and everything, and so that's been kind of fun. But one of the things I had to explain to her, I actually took her by just last week. Went to a house that when growing up, my mother squatted in. She just took a house and we squatted in and we lived there for a year as squatters. I didn't know that until I got older. So I was able to take her and show her that. But some of the biggest things I'm looking at is look, you don't have, you're lucky. You did not come from here. I've worked hard. We want to take her to France for because she loves to cook, she loves pastries, and we want to take her to France for her just because one week she we're going on a cruise for we're going to take her on a cruise for her birthday this year. So we're just going to go ahead and take her on a week cruise, and I believe my wife narrowed it down to the Mediterranean. So being able to do stuff for others is one of the greatest things that I love to do. We up until COVID, we would take a long weekend every month. When I say long weekend, from Thursday through Monday, off Thursday through Monday every month, and we would go on a 7 to 10 day trip every quarter. So those are just some of the things, and it's a whole bunch of other places that we want to go. We want to go to the Mediterranean. We want to be able to give back to our community more. One of the things that my wife was speaking of is that she wants to be able to just take the time and do volunteer work and everything. And that's something that we grew up doing. And it was just like we want to be able to do more things like that. So those are some of the great things that I'm looking forward to as far as personal wise over the next few years. Business wise, I'm so excited. We're expanding into Nevada before the end of the year. We're expanding into the Inland Empire and Arizona before the within the next year and a half. So those are expansion goals. We're looking at this as an opportunity to bring knowledge to other areas because we always don't have clients that want to drive all the way here to the Cerritos Artesia area. So we're going to where we feel like we can help more people and help our people at to just 100, just help our people where we can help them with the knowledge of how to start creating generational wealth through real estate.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. I really love that. Um,
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Thank you. Thank
I'm listening to you all this time, right?
you. Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, I know you had mentioned how you got your start working from construction, and I'm thinking as these 20 years that went by, you have from your conversation, I'm hearing your morals, your values, your work ethic, your having empathy for the person who's trying to even buy a house for their family or couple, or start their life, their journey, from this place that you're helping them get. And the principles that go along with being a real estate agent. You've touched on that too. So what I'm wondering now is who were your role models that got you like this? Or do you have mentors that set you on this path to be like this? Or what was it just home? Was it just home? I mean, how did you go about becoming this person who has um so much in the I guess they say when you're in your feelings it's always a bad thing, but being in your feelings to be about the progress of the Black community and Black families.
My biggest role model was my mom. Single mom. She got out there. She wouldn't let us be slackers. Where we would say, it was me and my younger brother, and when we would say, "Well, I didn't think, oh, I didn't think this would be an issue. I didn't think," and one of the things she would always point out was, "What's that thing on your top of your head for? It's there for you to think." And she would not let us slack off. That's just one thing she wouldn't do, and so that was probably my biggest role model. She just wouldn't let us slack off. So we got out. We had to do something. And one of the things that she's always said was, "I want you to be able to make enough money where you're able to take care of me comfortably." And she was like, and
Mm.
delve deeper into what she was saying. She was like, "No, I don't want to live with you." She said, "I don't want to live with you as I get older in age. I do not want to live with you, but I want you." She was like, "I want you to either put me in a home or have a home for me to go into that not where you at, but make sure that we have enough funds to make sure that she was taken care of and that she was taken care of nicely." And I think one of my biggest motivator before I had my family. And once I had my family, my wife is probably my biggest cheerleader. She supports me 120%. Has my back, and I met her in the business, and she understands the ins and outs of the business, and we work this business as a team, as a couple, where we're out and she has my back. And it hasn't always been great. There's been times where I couldn't afford a $20 haircut, and I had to decide whether I'm going to cut my hair or go pay $20 for a haircut or buy bread and food for the house. And so it hasn't always been easy, but perseverance, her respect, her having my back, we've been able to get through it and come where we're at now. And so those are my biggest motivators and um, cheerleaders. Mentors, heck, when I first got into real estate, I did 3 years, not 3 years. I worked 13 years at one office, Century 21 Action in out of Long Beach. And then from there I learned everything I needed to know about the business, everything I thought I needed to know at the time. I learned about the commitment it needs to take, the commitment you needed to do to be a successful real estate agent. And from there, I left and went to Keller Williams for 3 years, for 12 and 3. And learning at Keller Williams taught me the business. Keller Williams taught me the business of real estate. Century 21 Action taught me how to sell real estate. And Keller Williams taught me the business. And here it is. 5 years later, I've been having my own business, the Jackson Real Estate Group, after I left Keller Williams. And it's been great. So, and my biggest mentor, I coach with him monthly. I coach with him weekly. And then we have a network of other entrepreneurs that he worked with that came from our office that he works with, and he mentors that we meet monthly on. And that was Dave Utterback. So great. Those have been my inspirations, the reason why I do what I do, and how I'm able to do what I do.
Yeah, that's always always important. You know what I'm glad what you said is earlier is you know I like to hear people that are motivated and influenced from people in their family. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Which yeah, what I always like to say is I like to hear when people don't look towards a famous stranger's face who's had a successful career in basketball. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from them, but you know, what I mean, we have to look for the people that's in our family first, that are right here in front of us, and look for them to, you know, what I mean, versus saying, hey, you know, I'll follow this person, I'll follow that person, and I'm trying to do it because I see how they do it. You know me, versus saying like I seen how mom did it. I see you got my wife. I got, you know me, you got your other people in the family, and I seen how they worked hard, and that's what's motivated me to do it. I'm getting it from them. I like hearing that, you know. And you work with somebody who was also working hard, so that's twofold. So you're not it's not somebody who's way over here in Hollywood or wherever they're at. You know what I mean? Who doesn't know nothing about you, but you're over here, you know, falling over yourself trying to do what they're doing. You know, you were right there in the trenches with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Grinding and getting it done. So
Right.
and with that, let me ask you this: is there a particular life lesson you learned that you would like to pass on to others in your struggles and coming up and the people you met, and you got 20 years and you was
Yeah,
doing things before then, so you know both sides of working hard and laboring. You know,
Right.
what would you tell people?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. As I stated, I had anxiety attacks when meeting new people, when talking to new people. And it's not that you get over it, you learn to manage it. And so don't be afraid to go out and stick your neck out. And people are afraid to fail. Don't be a failure is only a failure when you give up. You just keep learning and you keep growing and you keep being consistent with what you want to do, and don't let anybody, what I would say, steal your dream. Even though, and your dream is allowed to change. Even though I really had no thought of becoming a real estate agent, but walking through the mall, somebody asked me, "Have I ever thought about a career in real estate?" Where most of the time they're asking people, "Have they thought about buying real estate?" Somebody asked me if I ever thought about a career in real estate, and I was just like, hey, I could do that. And my first obstacle was I didn't have $150 to pay for the class. So I just got over that obstacle. and you will get obstacles and you will fall down. And it's not about how many times you fall down, it's about how quick you get up. When COVID hit, they shut down the whole everything. They were like, real estate agents can't work. And for 3 days, I sat there and I was worried. I was like, what am I gonna do? This is the only way I feed my family. This is the only way I feed my family. What am I going to do? I don't know how to do anything else. And for 3 days, I sat there and did that. And then I realized, well, hell, if Walmart is open, I'm gonna be open. And yeah, I broke the rules and wasn't supposed to be open. And so I just kept the shades closed in the office and everything. But I did what I needed to do to make sure that my family was able to eat and we were able to continue to live the lifestyle that we wanted to live. So just don't give up on yourself. Sometimes just take chances and just go forward. That's what I would say my life lesson was.
Okay. That's valuable.
Isn't that amazing, man? Isn't that amazing? Because that life lesson is a strong piece of what we are about. You know, it's what makes us who we are. You know, those life lessons is, you know, build us up, they tear us down, but they always in some way move us forward, you know, and what we need to do. So I think about that when you talk about the life lessons and you talk about your parents and, you know, the people that are around you. How do you see yourself building a legacy? I know you've been doing this for a while. You have everything going for you to establish that legacy, but what do you see and how do you see that legacy being established?
Well, that's interesting. Well, first and foremost, I love what I do. One of the things that I would always say is that even if I won the lottery, I would still sell real estate. Maybe not on the day to day going out showing houses and everything, but I love what I do, and I love helping people succeed. For me, it's no competition. It's enough business out here for everyone. So if I can help somebody succeed, I'm loving it. And by doing that, I'm not only helping them succeed, I'm helping myself succeed. And sometimes not even monetarily, emotionally, physical. I mean, just putting a smile on my face to be able to like go back and say, hey, yeah, I remember when you wasn't or when they couldn't. And if I have a little bit of part in that, I mean, I find that exciting. Helping people who did not know they could purchase a home. When they realize, wow, you would be surprised when you realize, hey, I'm sitting there and I'm across from somebody and I'm like, okay, well, look, yeah, you're able to purchase a home, and they didn't realize that they could. They thought that they were going to be renters for the rest of their lives, and they didn't realize that no, their circumstances were nowhere near what they thought it was, and that they can purchase a home and start building generational wealth for their family. I mean, that's what I want to be known for. I want to be known across everywhere, that the person who helped people and was there to help people and had a good time while they're doing it. Because if one thing about me, if you ask anybody you know me, I'm about having a good time. And yeah, purchasing your home or selling homes is a little scary at times, but I try to take the fear away from it and have you enjoy yourself when you're doing it. Because contrary to popular belief, where they say purchasing a home is the biggest decision that you'll make, no, it's not. Purchasing a home is the biggest decision that you would make. Because what ends up happening is that as you get older, your income becomes fixed and your rent is not fixed. People are going to go up on rent yearly, bi-yearly, but that's going to continuously go up. And if you don't own a home, it might become a time where you're not even able to afford rent anymore. And I've had people come back that didn't buy when they could and couldn't afford rent where they were living anymore, and was like, well, can I buy now? And your circumstances have changed and you can't. And I don't want that to happen to it as anyone else, even though I know it will. My job is and I want to be known that I try to help everybody that I possibly could, so they wouldn't have to deal with that.
Right.
You know, that's a powerful thing, you know, when you're talking about helping somebody, you know, stay stable, in ownership. One of the things that I was thinking about when I first went to buy my house, I was renting, and one of the things that happened to me was I got offered this thing from the landlord, and her real estate agent was rent to own. I was like, what is that all about? Tell me about what that is, because when I was doing it, I did do it. Now, only because it was a nice house. It was near the lake. It was it was beautiful for us to own it. But believe me, it was an all white neighborhood. It was just it was santee considered clan tea. So that's where it was. But I didn't know enough about it to where I actually walked away from it. Just a little bit. Can you tell me about the rent to own, and is that something you recommend? Is it something that should not be looked at, just wait to purchase?
Okay, so rent to own is very tricky. There are a couple good companies out there that does rent to own, and it there are a couple of circumstances where it makes sense. Usually, when a seller, and this is usually when a seller is doing a rent to own, is that they want more money than the home is worth. They can't sell the home for what it's worth right now, so let me do a fake rent to own to where I can keep my tenants and give them a chance to say they're going to own it. So, a couple of pitfalls you need to look for when you're looking at rent to own. One of the questions you have to ask, so how much of my rent is going to be put towards the down payment? Am I going to pay today's price? So we go into this rent to own contract today. The property is worth $500,000, and we do a rent to own for 5 years. And then in 5 years, am I going to have to get it at the price it was at in 5 years? What if that price is higher? So now the property is worth $600. Do I still get it at $500? What if that property is worth $400? Do I have to buy it at $500? So those are questions that when looking at a rent to own, you have to ask, you have to be clear on, you have to get in writing. And the biggest thing on is how much of my rent is going towards down payment, and what price am I going to get it at when I exercise my option to purchase. So usually when you have somebody coming, landlord or saying, oh, I'm going to do a rent to own, those things are not clarified. You're not clear on those things. It's like, oh, well, and they're not clear. But there are a couple of companies out there that does great rent to own. Home Partners of America is one of them. They're in the high desert, and they do a lot of rent to own. So they will actually purchase a home for you and do a rent to own with you, but it has specific terms. You know exactly how much is going towards your down payment, and you have specific terms all spelled out. If you want to know more information about that, give me a call. I got that too.
You mentioned something, because in my case, what's weird, in my case, I had signed the rent to own with the realtor agency that she owned 2 houses. One of the houses she couldn't sell. It was she wanted to sell it, but she wanted to sell it to us. We couldn't afford it, so we did the rent to own 5 years. We come up with the $20,000 or whatever it was for the down payment, and then we take over the payment of the house at that time. And man, I was thinking, oh, that's good, babe. But then when we start paying the rent was originally like $1,500. Then it went up to like $2,500 or $2,300 or something like that. So all the extra money was going toward that. And then about a year or two into the house, guess who came to visit us? Termites.
Nice.
Termites I was in the bathroom one day, and I looked out. I said, what's all these freaking bugs all over the place? The house had got termite infested. We had to have the termite people come out, do the whole thing. My wife said, this house is tore up. It's full of termites. I don't know if we want to stay here. And I was like, honey, we need this house. And it was just, that whole thing is it's important to really truly understand, because we didn't have, like, when you buy a new home, you have the inspector come in, they're checking everything, they're making sure, the house is in good condition, there is no stuff in there. A rent to own, you're dealing for, the house could have been there already 15 years before you bought it, and you're not paying for that inspection.
Well, any home, the majority of the homes I sell are resale older homes. They're not brand new homes or anything. The majority of our clients purchase homes that's 50, 60 years old. But one of the things I do require is that unless you're an investor buying a home to tear down, that we get an inspection. And the inspection, because in California, all homes are sold as is. You have a right to find out what as is. So we have inspectors go through, they check the plumbing, they check the electrical, they check the roof, they check the AC, they check the heating. And with certain loans, all that stuff has to be up to par. No broken windows. Do you know if you use the FHA loan, which is the common first-time home buyer loan, it cannot be any chipping paint on the eaves or on the windowsills. So it's things like that having the knowledge that I have as 20 years in real estate, that I'm able to relay to the client and help them through that process. Even if you've been renting a home, like you were stating that you were renting the home first and then they came and said, hey, would you like to rent the home? One of the things we still try to have, because we do have that occasionally, not so much rent to own, but I'm going to buy the house that I'm currently living in. We still say, hey, do an inspection. Go ahead and get your inspection done. That way, something that might be an issue where you thinking, or it's something that you missed that might be coming up. So we still do say, go ahead and get an inspection, just so you can be informed of what's going on.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. I paid the price for that. I'm not living in that house. So even though I liked it, that house is long gone. I would love to own that house. Man. I built a whole new like man cave in the backyard, man. I built it from scratch. I built the whole thing. Oh, I loved it. But when I had to move, I was so upset, man, that them termites kicked me out. Them termites kicked me out. One of the other things I like to ask you, and I'm going to move to the closing, is that talk to us a little bit about what you would talk to the youth about. How would you, sit down, if you were sitting down with them and talking to them about not only real estate, but just the importance of life and moving forward, because we got a lot of our youth, veering off into other directions. They're not taking that entrepreneurial spirit because they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of things that they're doing. So if you were able to have a chance to just talk directly to them, what would you say?
Don't give up on yourself. Whatever it is you want to do, whether it's real estate, which is, I found my passion, even working a regular 9 to 5, or YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is, put your all into it. Stuff might not always go right, but you continue to grow and you continue to move forward. Don't always look at the end result. That's one of the things I found that a lot of people do. They look at, oh, well, you're doing this and you're doing that, but you have to look at the struggles. I don't know if you heard me say earlier, at one point in this business, I had to choose whether I spent $20 on food or got my hair cut. And I chose to spend $20 on food. And it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be roses. And just continue to grow. Put your foot forward, one foot after other. If you trip and you fall, get back up and start going again. It's just that. And look for other ways. Find groups or a community that's going to support you. I mentioned my wife and my moms and everything, but I have a huge community that support me, a community of friends, a community of relatives, and a community of other real estate agents and brokers that support me and support what I do, and that we support and we uplift each other. So that's what I would say. don't give up, keep moving forward, and hey, you can do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that is one of the things that I see to be hard for everyone to understand the importance of just not giving up, and I know that's something you're talking to the youth about. So give me something that you would talk to the entrepreneur about, that person that's just like you, that's out there struggling and making that thing work, and fighting every
Right.
chance they can.
As an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to step back to move forward. And when I say step back, you might have went all in on your career or your business. You might have went all in on your business, and it's not where you want to be. So you might have to go back and get a regular 9 to 5 to supplement your income until you're able to get back up and do your business. I've known plenty of people who had to step back and get a regular 9 to 5, but then after they did that 9 to 5, they spent another 9 to 5 working on growing their business. And sometimes, and take working over the weekends and everything. And sometimes that's what you need to do. So don't be afraid of doing that. Just because you might have to do that does not mean you're a failure. Does not mean that you're not going to succeed. Sometimes that's the best thing to do to succeed. So just as the saying, just keep going. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep pushing forward. And like I said, sometimes you might have to step back to move forward, but continue to move forward.
Okay.
Well,
So
we are
take that. Take that.
we're so happy you taking the time to join us today. Our sincere gratitude for that, and
No, it's
we're
my
just
pleasure.
man, Ed with the Jackson Real Estate Group, man, he's out there pushing it hard for everyone out there to succeed. I am just like thrilled and proud to talk to a brother out there that's doing the hard work of selling those houses out there, making us have ownership and allowing us to build that Black legacy up, and also, promote that Black, uh, you know, um, dream that we're all trying to have. So tell me a little bit about what you might want to say, or something that I may have missed, or do you think that we can cover that we didn't say?
As a black business owner, at times we do doubt ourselves, or we try to get to the end result faster than we need to. Just stay focused. We do have certain challenges that others don't, but those challenges do not have to define you. You can continue to move forward. You can continue to strive. You can continue to start to build generational wealth, which are for and legacy for your family. Where we do have other races and other minority groups who had this leg up decades ago. Hey, you can start wherever you are, and don't let, well, they had a leg up 20, 30 years ago. Don't let that pigeonhole you. You can start building generational wealth at all times, at any time, for you and your family, and continue to grow and help others that's out there that might not know that they have opportunities, where they don't have to be a actor or a sports agent. They can, or a basketball or football player. There's nothing wrong with those, but there are other avenues for us. We don't have to rap. I can't rap with the damn, but there are other avenues. And being an entrepreneur and being able to show the Black community that, hey, there are other ways than what you see on TV is great. It's great. And get everybody out there, continue to strive.
That's right. That's
What do
right.
you say, Razak?
That's right. I'm just really taking it all in. I'm just taking it all in. Let me tell you, you know, as now when we do, we're interviewing you.
Right.
So, I like to I guess in a way, everybody that we're interviewing, they're somewhat of a influencer for me. There's somewhat of a mentor for me, and it's like, I hear different people's stories, how they're getting together, how they're doing it, and in each one, seems to be just so different than the next. I mean, as far as the titles we can give it, as far as struggling or going through it, different things, obstacles. Yeah, that's going to be all the same. But it seems like everybody's has a different story to tell, and
Right.
in each one, it just builds me up in a sense at the same time as listening to you. It's like each person we're interviewing becomes a step for me to
Mm-hmm.
even have more success in life, because now I'm seeing that, you know any obstacles that, and this is what I would give to people too, in listening to other people's stories, their struggles, and their triumphs, and how their success, or and you can view success as just, okay, well, I got a business website. I got the business name. I'm doing the DBA, so I got my little .com. I going, and that's success for me. It might not be success to where I want to be. You know what I mean? But it's success because I'm achieving this goal. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I set a goal and I successfully reached it. And people need to know that, man, these are also qualifies as being
Correct.
successful in life.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right,
those
right.
failures, it's not necessarily just, I like the way you said that right there. It's not necessarily a failure if you have to step back, because, I still got some things I want to do with my business, but, I got to wait for the money to get there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not everything is just coming like that. You know what I mean? So you got to reoccurring costs and stuff, with you got to pay the website, you got to pay these people, you got to pay these, you got to do this, I got to look over here. You know what I mean? It's traveling. A lot of those things it may take for you to actually work. Because I had asked that to somebody before, and I said, you got your own business, but you're working for somebody at the same time. And he was like, well, yeah, you got one feeds the other. So, what I mean?
Right.
And in retrospect, you're like, okay, well, okay, I was working for a whole lot of people that was doing business. I've been doing sales and all type of stuff. I did
Yeah.
I done been all over the place. I did food service. I was a cook. I did all this. And each time I just told myself, I said, well, what makes this guy the supervisor? What makes this guy, the owner? And now that I'm on that side, I'm seeing what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing, like, man, and it's the weight on your back. I mean, you gotta be able to lift all this up. I mean, and carry your business into the future. I
Right.
mean, so I'm just listening to how you're doing it, and I like how there's different areas: real estate, retail, what I mean, cosmetics, there's all these different areas, but the same thing that everybody has in common is you're coming from a minority community, coming from a Black community, and we're
Correct.
both have the not necessarily it's a ghetto hardship and stuff like that, but it's just the fact that we have so much diversity, so much prejudice, so much belittlement of what we have achieved. Now, this is aside from being an actor, aside from being oh, you got all this talent in
Right.
rapping, or you can play basketball, you can play football. Okay, well, that's cool for you, but that's only a percentage. What I mean, the rest of us is trying to get by with actual business, actual working and doing that stuff, and that's the
Right, right,
percentage we're
right,
on
right,
right there.
right, right,
What I mean? I mean,
right,
if you want to,
right.
if you're an athlete and you come in, I mean, cool. I mean, fine. What I mean, I'm pretty sure you went through your stuff, but it's like a business thing. It's because I'm trying to pursue a business career and live my lifestyle like how you just said. So you didn't build your lifestyle off of this. What I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
as when COVID hit, what I mean, you're like, oh man, this is, hold on, man, I can't really drive around and run around like I used to because money ain't coming. This 3 days is hurting. What I mean? So it's like things like that. We have to stay on point. You got to stay on point, and I gotta look ahead. So a lot of times when I be listening, I just be looking ahead. You guys are
Right.
like my future insight of what could happen, and how I maneuver around different things. So that's what I'm getting from your conversation today, and pretty much everybody, what I mean. And that's what I strive for a lot of times. And some of these questions, we I'll be writing it down as you're talking. I'm like, okay, well, let me ask you about this, what I mean, now. And I'll have my little notebook, and I'll be, it's not always like a little questionnaire we have. Sometimes I'll just be wondering for myself, I'm like, well, what I ask him this, what are you gonna say? What I mean? So I'm taking a lot, as I say, as always, I'm smarter and more educated, and I'm more inspired, be with listening to you
I
and
appreciate
coming through this
the
conversation.
opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and share my journey with you and your listeners and your viewers and everything, because I don't think there's anything special about me. And that's one of the things I tell all my agents. The only difference between, I think, me and them is that one day I just got tired. I mean, and just got tired and was like, I need to just do what I'm supposed to do and be consistent with it. Consistency is probably the biggest thing. And I'm just happy that I'm out here and I'm able to, like I said, speak to your listeners and everything, and hopefully I can inspire one person to not give up on what they're trying to do or what they want to do, or not even not so much give up, to start,
Right.
because you can start, you can start from any spot. I've seen people get into this business and get into entrepreneurship at 50, 60, 70 years old. You just have to start, and don't be afraid to start.
Right. Thank you.
Well, again, everybody here at KF&JF Podcast, really do thank you for coming on. You know, I spent a lot of time. This is the big part of why I started this podcast and why it was important to me, was to try to have conversations like this and to try to bring people together with the same goals in mind of sharing the experience so that our families and the people we know can see that it's possible. All you have to do is take that first step and go forward, you know. So we thank you again, Ed, the Jackson Real Estate Group here in, you know, our community that we're pushing forward. This guy is awesome. And you know what else about it, man? Look at that smile. You know, you got, as soon as you get in the office, you get ready to sit down.
You're
You
gonna
know,
have
he's
a good time.
you get ready to have a good time. So I really thank you, brother, and I love the fact that you are you've been honest and authentic and real on the show, and we can't thank you enough. And I hope while you're out there, you pass it along, you know, and let everybody know about the
Definitely.
KF&JF podcast, and look forward to many more people coming on that you may know.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care,
Really,
man.
thank you. Like I said, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, and Jackson, the
Oh,
Jackson Real Estate Group. What we do is we educate, we teach, we help people of our community grow uh, generational wealth through real estate. We take you from A to Z in real estate, whether it's purchasing, renting, or investing. And we're here to help the people of our community realize their dreams.